Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to a very special episode of the X Factor Sports Podcast. Season 6, Episode 2. As you can see, it's the Halloween episode. This is our second time doing a Halloween episode. So glad to have y'all with us tonight. We got a great show. We are on YouTube and Rumble. You can catch the X Factor Sports Podcast on all audio platforms that allow you to listen to podcasts. That's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube, Samsung, all the above. Want to thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. We are going to have a great show. We got some NBA talk, of course. We got World Series. We got college football, NFL. We got picks. We got all the things you want. And of course, we incorporated a little bit of Halloween fun into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with some of the quick news, the layup lines. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it with the NBA. All right. Dwayne Wade. Everybody done seen my man's statue, right? Okay. What the hell is that? What is that monstrosity that they call a statue out there? So this statue got unveiled last week. Congratulations to D Wade, Miami Heat, his family, all that. He is immortalized as Mr. Wade County. So I get that. It's great. But come on, man. Let's keep it real. That statue is hideous. All right. These statues keep getting worse and worse. I thought Ronaldo was the last straw. They keep getting worse and worse. The crazy thing about D Wade statue is they actually invited him in to see them do it, like put it together, the sculpture and everything. And he looked at that and was like, yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Let's go with that. Like you can, if you got social media, you can look all online and see all the jokes being made about this statue. It's crazy. They need to figure this out. All right. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has seemed to figure out these statues. They're called busts. It's called a bust instead of a statue for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those seem to look like the players. Well, whoever's sculpting those, they need to make a call to these other sports and let them sculpt these statues because these look crazy, man. First it was Kobe, rest in peace. Allen Iverson statue. And now we have Ronaldo statue. Now we got this one. I mean, who's the next victim, right? So happy to see him get his statue, but I mean, damn. Y'all lying to yourself if y'all think that look like Dwayne Wade. That's crazy. So, but yeah, some more NBA though. What did we learn from this first week in the WNBA? Finally, the season is back up and running. But what have we learned this week so far? All right, the Boston Celtics are out for blood. We learned that. Okay. We learned that Paolo Banchero is trying to make an all-NBA team or at least an all-star game. He's been on a tear, just dropped 50 on Monday. Orlando looked good. I think they got a taste of some playoff success last season, and I think they're showing the world and letting everybody know that Paolo Banchero is that dude. Because like I said, a 50-point game from him, one of the youngest players to ever do it. So congrats to him. What else we got going on this week? What else did we learn? The Milwaukee Bucks don't look great. Doc Rivers looks worse than Adrian Griffin did. And Adrian Griffin probably sitting at home like, see what I'm saying? Y'all should have let me stay. And y'all added Damian Lillard. So even though Damian Lillard was added at the beginning of last season, you'd think by now some chemistry would have been made. But they look worse now than they did before Adrian Griffin. So wonder what they're going to do there. And then I'm sure Bud over Mike Budenholzer in Phoenix looking at them too like, y'all let me go for this? So maybe the Bucks can figure it out. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they already using a PTO. They ain't played a game yet. And who knows when they'll play. Crazy stuff. And then JJ Redick. JJ Redick is actually coaching the Los Angeles Lakers instead of just being the coach of the Lakers. Y'all understand what I'm saying y'all understand what I mean when I say that? Right? Some coaches get to LA and they're just happy to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. JJ Redick is actually coaching them. He's holding players accountable. They have an identity. And Anthony Davis is the guy. We're going to go through AD. LeBron is going to support him. LeBron's going to be the complimentary guy to him. And then all the role players know their role. So now there's an identity there. They have a direction of the team. So they might actually do well. I said at the beginning of the year, they might not win 40 games. It's still early. Obviously, a lot of basketball left, injuries. But as they look coming out the gate, obviously everybody's fresh. You can see right away that they have an identity already. JJ Redick likes the ball to move. He wants them to make good shots, take clean looks. He's comfortable with them shooting open shots. He's got the X's and O's down. They had a game the other night. They had a great out-of-bounds play that they did, a side out-of-bounds. The shot was missed, but it got an open look. So those things they can work on. It's still October. But I noticed something about JJ Redick. He's actually coaching the team instead of just being the Lakers coach or the coach of the Lakers. So good to see that. So that's what we got for the NBA. Major League Baseball. If y'all been watching the World Series, I have. It's been an exciting one. Thought the Dodgers was going to sweep last night. They didn't. Yankees put up a fight in the Bronx, won 11-4. The bats woke up. Aaron Judge even got on base. Another grand slam happened. Freddie Freeman happened again early in the first inning. Again, a 2-run homer got Mookie home. So it was a great game. Like I said, Yankees won 11-4, force a game 5 tonight. And the good news about the Yankees winning yesterday is now they get Garrett Cole back, the ace from game 1, to pitch tonight. They didn't have to change their order. Everybody was talking about, man, it's the last game. You got to do what you need to do. They should start Garrett Cole. And credit to Aaron Boone and the Yankee staff. They stuck with their rotation. It paid off. The bats woke up. They got a little confidence, won at home. And the way baseball works in the World Series, it's 2-3-2. So tonight they're still playing in New York, and now you got Garrett Cole starting at home. And if they win, we got a series. So I had Dodgers in 6. If y'all watched the show last week, the season premiere. So I thought it was going to get over with last night. I'm going to be real with y'all. The Yankees look dead in the water. They woke up, though. Hopefully Dave Roberts and the Yankees and Dodgers can get this series over with. But all you need to do is crack that door open a little bit, man. And athletes are very superstitious. So you put a crack in that door. They saw some good things. They got their rotation still intact. And at the beginning of the series, when you looked at the matchups, the Yankees starting pitching rotation had the check mark over the Dodgers starting rotation. The Dodgers had the bullpen. Tonight or yesterday was a bullpen game, meaning we're down to the 4th starter in the rotation. The bullpen is probably going to have to pick it up and win the game. The Yankees won that game in a bullpen game that was favored by the Dodgers. Now we're back to a starting rotation where we're back to the top of the order with aces. And the Yankees get the nod with Garrett Cole. So be very interesting to see what happens tonight. All right. Then over to college football. Week 9, we had last week. Again, what did we learn? What we learned from last week. Indiana is real. The Indiana Hoosiers, right? I'm talking about football. Indiana Hoosiers 8-0, 5-0 in the Big Ten. The Big Ten. And I know they got a bunch of transfers. They look like a straight-up JUCO team playing D1 football. But they beating everybody. They look really good. They got a legit chance to make the college football playoff. I think they're in the top 50, 55 percentile as it stands right now, being undefeated. Their schedule is favorable. I think they got Ohio State, but all those other games are winnable. And if you only got one loss in the Big Ten, you lose in a Big Ten championship or you lose to Ohio State, they got a legitimate shot to be in the college football playoff since it's expanded to 12. So that's cool to see. Also last week, what did we learn over the weekend? Illinois and Mizzou. All right. They found out that it's levels to this thing. Okay. They having good seasons, but then when you run into the cream of the crop, being Illinois went out to Oregon, got smacked around 30-something to 9. And then Mizzou played Alabama, got shut out. and gave up over 30 points. So we learned that Illinois and Mizzou having good years, but it's levels to this thing. So we also learned about Texas A&M. A&M look like they for real in the SEC. They're number one in the league and undefeated in conference play in the toughest conference in America, 5-0. They got some games coming up too. They blew out Mizzou when Mizzou was ranked 9th, and they blew out LSU when they were ranked 8th. So it's not like they just squeaking under the radar or beating bad teams. They've beaten ranked teams. They beat everybody in their path, undefeated in the conference. So Texas A&M looking for real too. All right, so that's what we learned, and that's the quick news from last weekend and this week. So every week we start out the show like this. We tell you what we learned. We get into quick news, some quick hitters, and you guys tell me what you think about what has happened in the last week or so. All right, now let's get into it, baby. Now we got to get into it. So we always do a monologue here at the X Factor Sports Podcast. We usually ask a question when we get into the monologue. But this week, I'm not asking no questions, man. I just got a straight statement for y'all, okay? Aaron Rodgers is done. Simple as that. Aaron Rodgers is done. And the reason why Aaron Rodgers is done is, A, have y'all been watching these football games, right? Like I said, I usually pose a question, but I don't need to. It's just a straight, firm statement. I think he is done. I was telling my guys at the Bears bar over the weekend, we lost that terrible game, that this is how you knew Aaron Rodgers was done. All right. When the antics outweigh the performance. I say this all the time. I reference Draymond Green when I say this, or other players that get traded or moved around in professional sports. When the antics outweigh the production, an organization is comfortable moving on. Why do you say that, Jay? So, like I was telling my guys at the bar, for the last 2 or 3 years that Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay, he was always getting up to the podium talking about, we need this, we need that, I need help, always pointing the finger. This is his attitude. That's his mentality, his personality. It's everybody else's fault but his, right? And Green Bay was okay dealing with that when they were winning 13 games a year. He was winning MVPs, so on and so forth, right? Throwing the ball away so he wouldn't get interceptions, stat pad, and whatever. So when he was doing all that, it was cool. As soon as he had a bad season, they watched Jordan Love progress and mature in that system. Once Aaron Rodgers had a bad season, they're like, your antics are speaking louder than your game right now. So you know what? We good. We feel good about Jordan Love. You can leave. Bye. As soon as I saw that, I knew he was over. Even before the Achilles injury, I knew it was the beginning of the end, right? So Green Bay moves on. You got Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. What has he done since he's been with the Jets? Okay. He is back to his same old tactics, going in the media, blaming everybody but himself. He gets Robert Saleh fired. He brings Devontae Adams over. He brings Adam Lazard over. He brings a terrible offensive coordinator in Nathaniel Hackett over. He brings over all his boys to make this Green Bay East over here. And they look even worse now than they did with Zach Wilson. So what's the excuse? He hasn't thrown for 300 yards in over 30 games. Very large sample size, so you can't just say it's the Achilles, right? He's a 40-year-old going on 41 with one leg who can't throw the ball accurate anymore. He can't use the excuse of throwing the ball out of bounds. Watch the game last week. To avoid getting turnovers, this dude will throw the ball into the stands just so his stats look good. He's never been a leader. He has former players that played with him in Green Bay that talk about him now that they retired, that they didn't like him. His own family don't like being around his ass. Okay? So he's done. And everybody, the media, tried to paint this picture that Aaron Rodgers was in the same realm, the same galaxy as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, because they left their franchises when they were older and won a Super Bowl with their next team. All right, so let's talk about Brady. Everybody that Brady played with, I have not heard a bad thing about Tom Brady. Maybe Giselle got something bad to say, but on the football field, I have not heard anybody say anything bad about Brady as a teammate, as a competitor, as a workout partner, like anything, right? He goes to Tampa Bay. He elevates the culture, leads by example. Yes, you can see him on the sideline visibly upset when things don't go his way, but he holds people accountable because he has a standard of excellence and a track record to prove it. And so they win a Super Bowl, right? How does that relate to Aaron Rodgers? It doesn't. He doesn't have a track record of excellence. They won the one Super Bowl in 2010 with a good defense in Green Bay. And since then, his playoff record is terrible, right? So we keep talking about these glory years when Aaron Rodgers was good. Mind you, he sat the first 3 years he was drafted. So he didn't play until 08, 07. So then 3 years later, they won the Super Bowl. After that, he did nothing. Won a bunch of games, but didn't win any big playoff games. Lost a bunch of games at home in the playoffs to Green Bay, to San Francisco. That's why they were okay with him moving on. His antics got bigger than his production. So stop comparing him to Tom Brady, right? Number one. Number two, Peyton Manning. Okay, this might have a better parallel because Peyton Manning left the Colts kind of unceremoniously, and they brought in Andrew Luck, and he had the injury. So, right, he had to get healthy, injury, come back, and then figure it out with a new team, Denver Broncos. Yes, the Denver Broncos had an elite defense, but ain't that what y'all told me the Jets had? Right? Every time we talk about the Jets, y'all naming off names, Hassan Reddick, Sauce Gardner, da-da-da-da-da. Ain't that what y'all told, Quinnen Williams, ain't that what y'all told me about this team? They the bottom half, bottom third of the league defensively. And it ain't because they ain't got the same players Zach Wilson had. They look like they're not as inspired to play for Aaron Rodgers. They played harder for Zach Wilson than they did for this dude and Robert Saleh. Because real recognize real in the locker room. They see what's going on in their locker room. The ownership is just giving Aaron Rodgers everything he wants. And now the team got a worse record than they had before. So back to the Peyton Manning thing. Peyton Manning, again, standard of excellence, leadership, holding people accountable, being a good teammate. That goes a long way in this sport. This is the ultimate team sport. And because of how he integrated himself with his teammates, Peyton Manning, there was success. They go on to win a Super Bowl in Denver. So why are we comparing this dude to them? We shouldn't. All right. So let's shut that down right now, once and for all. Aaron Rodgers is done, washed, whatever you want to call it. Right? Just look at the tape. Y'all can start romanticizing about what he did in Green Bay. He doesn't have that anymore. What he used to do and what made him special is gone. He doesn't have the legs. He can't move out of the pocket like he used to. So that's why you're seeing the throws you're seeing. That's why you're seeing stuff not on time. He can't move the way he used to. So just watch the games. And then look at the numbers. If you're an analytics guy, you can look at that. If you're an actual guy that likes watching sports, you can watch it with your own two eyes. The dude is done. The Jets are done. I don't know why they were ever I know why. It's in New York, big market, I get it. But I couldn't understand for the life of me why they were getting Super Bowl talk. What in that organization have they done in the last 20 years to make you think that they're a Super Bowl team? By adding that dude? Right. If they were a Super Bowl team, Green Bay would have kept them. Because Green Bay has a better team than them. They're proving that right now, right? So what's understood don't need to be explained. The dude is done. Just go watch the game, stick a fork in him. And like I said, and we got to watch this sad team on national TV again tomorrow night. against the Texans. The Texans just lost Stephon Diggs for the season, but I still think the Texans are going to beat these dudes because they're a better team. They have a coach that they believe in. They have a better game plan. You got a 40-year-old on a short week. I don't think they're going to win that game either. And then who is he going to have to blame? He has nowhere else to turn. He can't blame nobody else. So he's getting what he deserves, man, on this football field. It's crazy. They can't bench him because he's a $50 million quarterback, even though Tyrod Taylor's better. But the owner done stuck his foot so far in his mouth that he has to roll with this $50 million one-legged quarterback. So it's just a joke. And this is what you get. So it'll be funny. Continue watching this reality TV of the New York Jets. And they're already out of the playoff picture. So they had a chance to they were playing for first place, and they fired Robert Saleh, and they ain't won a game since. So that tells you all you need to know. All right. So y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Do y'all think Aaron Rodgers is done? Because I absolutely think he is. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The X Factor Sports Podcast. We're on YouTube and Rumble every single week. Be sure to love it, like it, share it. And then also the audio, right? You can always get the audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. You can check us out. All right. So let's get into this, right? We have the NFL segment, and we're going to talk about contenders and pretenders. But because it's Halloween, we had to change it up a little bit. So I called it Ghosts versus Goblins. All right. Ghosts and Goblins. And why do you call it Ghosts and Goblins? The ghosts are the ones that are going to disappear, right? They look good early on, but they're going to end up disappearing. And these aren't your obvious teams. These ain't your Carolinas, your New Englands, your Jets, like the teams that are bad. These are teams that are actually in the running, probably playing 500 ball or even have a winning record, but they're going to fade away. And then your Goblins are the same way. It ain't the top dogs. We know the Chiefs are good. We know they Super Bowl contenders. The Ravens, the Bills, like we know they already got it on lock. The Lions, these again, those teams that are 500 or one or two games above that have a shot. So I call it Ghosts versus Goblins. So what we're going to do is talk about the Ghosts first, the teams that's about to disappear. And I got the Chicago Bears in there. And it ain't because of what happened to them on Sunday. That didn't help. But that ain't the main reason why I got them here is one of the pretenders, the Ghosts, right? Their schedule is going to get much, much more difficult by week 11. This is a soft end of their schedule. And what happened Sunday is very indicative of their coaching and what they're going to have to do in this division. They're in the toughest division in football. We still got to play the Lions twice. We got to play Green Bay twice, and we got to play Minnesota twice. It's going to be tough sledding. I don't see this 4-3 team who might even get to 5-3 against Arizona on Sunday. I don't see this team making the playoffs. I didn't predict the Bears making the playoffs. I said 9 wins is a success for a rookie. I don't know what's going to happen with the coaching staff. I think they can be over 500 by the end of the year, but I don't see them making the playoffs. So I got them disappearing. The Denver Broncos. Broncos look great. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix. They're winning games right now. I think they 5-3. I don't know if they've been on a bye yet, but the Broncos look good right now. Defense is solid. When we get into these cold months, when we get into the November, December, January months, they won't play in January. When you get past Thanksgiving, though, that's when you start to see who these teams are. Divisional play, they got to get into theirs. They still got to play the Chiefs twice. I think the Chargers will get them. So, again, nice start, good fall football, but now we're about to get into winter football. This is why I like to do the contenders versus pretenders, because we're getting closer to the cold months. We start to see who's who. So I think the Broncos are pretending. All right. The Indianapolis Colts, again, team that's over 500, but the Colts ain't going to do nothing. All right. Even though Houston Texans just lost Stephon Diggs. They're about to get Nico Collins back in week 10. Don't think the Colts are going to do anything. I believe they believe that they have a chance. And the reason why I say that is because they just benched Anthony Richardson, your number one pick. Usually owners and GMs want to play their guys, ride them till the wheels fall off. But this tells me something. And I always tell y'all, you don't have to ask questions. The management always tell you, the front office always tells you how they feel. And so with this move, playing Joe Flacco, they feel like they have a chance to make the playoffs. Remember, Joe Flacco took the Browns to the playoffs last year. Kevin Stefanski won a Coach of the Year award because of Joe Flacco. So the Colts feel the same way. Like, we have something here. Jonathan Taylor's healthy. We got a pretty decent defense. We're at a favorable schedule. We think we can make something happen. We're above 500. Let's see what we can do. So I don't think they're going anywhere in the AFC. AFC is pretty competitive. I just don't see them making it. And, the only team, they're better than Jacksonville and Tennessee, so maybe that's why they think they got a shot. But I don't see the Colts doing anything. All right, Arizona Cardinals, same thing. They play the Bears this week. 2 pretenders playing against each other. Whoever gets to win, it'll be exciting for their locker room, for their fan base, but Arizona ain't doing nothing. They are good in their division, but again, the NFC's tough. Kyler Murray can have a great game, and then it can go down the toilet fast. We don't know what will happen. That defense is very suspect. So they had a nice win against the Dolphins on the road with Tua coming back for his first game, a nice comeback win. Maybe that'll catapult them for a couple games, but I don't see them doing nothing in the long term. And then the team in their division, the Seattle Seahawks, right? They're getting some defensive players back. So Buffalo just smacked them around. Again, it's levels to this. So that's why I don't see Seattle with the elite. I see them as a decent team, but just pretending. 4-4. Geno can play well. No DK Metcalf. All the defensive players ain't back yet. A defensive head coach whose defense is So we'll see how far they go. Again, getting into these winter months. I think Seattle is pump faking and not balling. So those are our pretenders. Those are the ghosts. You see them now, but they're going to start fading away here pretty soon. All right. Now over to the Goblins, the monsters. All right. The contenders. Again, this isn't going to be the elite of the elite. We already know they're the contenders, the best there is. So we don't need to sweat that. But here are the other contenders. All right. We got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're figuring it out. All right. They're winning some good games. Yes, if you look record wise, it's like, who do they beat other than Green Bay out in Brazil? But if you watch the games, they're figuring it out. The defense is starting to play a little better, a little more continuity. They got one of the best offensive lines. A young guy actually took over for Jason Kelce at center. He's coming into form. And they're finally starting to use Jalen Hurts like they did the year they went to the Super Bowl. They're not putting all this pocket passing on him, trying to make him win the games with his arms. They have reverted back to letting him win the games the way he knows how, using his legs when he needs to, throwing the ball when he has to. All right, so makes him a dual threat. That great offensive line, Saquon Barkley, is going to be your workhorse. Get him the ball, throw a couple deep balls into the bucket for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, like you saw on Sunday. And I think the Eagles are about to roll. I see them as true contenders. That division is wide open. I think they'll get it. I think Washington, even though they're on this list as contenders, they're probably going to make the playoffs. But I think Philly will win that division. I think just the experience. I think when it gets to a tough matchup, even if they split, I think the Eagles will win more games than them going down the stretch. So I got the Eagles as a contender. I think they're figuring it out. Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, it's hard to deny it. I told y'all, death, taxes, and Mike Tomlin winning games. It just happens all the time. He's always got a winning record. Now he's found Russell Wilson, okay? A lot of people was kind of putting Russ down for what happened at the end of Seattle, what happened in Denver, but understand something. You can even go back to in college when he was at Wisconsin. All right. They finished the number 10 team in the country, won a bowl game. I think they ended up 11-2, 11-3 on the year. The reason that Russell, he was ninth in Heisman voting, by the way. The reason that Russ was successful there, they had a great running game and a good defense. Defense was top 10 in the country. All right. When he was in Seattle, they went to 2 Super Bowls. He had a great running game, great offensive line, great defense. What does he have in Pittsburgh? Since Russell Wilson has been quarterback, Najee Harris has rushed for 100 yards. The offensive line is getting healthy. TJ Watt and all those in the back. Great defense, running game, offensive line. You don't need Russell to save the day. He's not that type of quarterback. He never has been. Denver tried to make him the savior and put all of it on his shoulders, and he's not that guy. Mike Tomlin, he even said it on the Pivot on another podcast. A lot of these coaches are afraid to coach guys. I relish in it. He said he loves coaching guys, right? That's not a quote. That's just, I'm paraphrasing what he said. But basically he's saying he loves the challenge of coaching players up. And what do you think they're doing with Russell Wilson? Got his confidence up. He's healthy. And now they're rolling, okay? So I got them as a contender because Russ is in a comfortable position that he was in all those years he was successful with other teams, right? They're not putting it all on his shoulders, okay? Over 400 yards of offense, 2 weeks in a row. The defense are shutting the door in the fourth quarter. He's making the throws he needs to make, and they're winning football games. So I got them as a contender. They're number one in AFC North now. No, I'm not saying they're better than Baltimore. However, the AFC is not the stronger conference this year. It's the NFC, okay? And with that, the Steelers have a shot. All right, number 3, I got the Commanders. Like I said when I was talking about the Eagles, the Commanders look good. They're playing a last place schedule because of being in last place last year. That helps them. But this kid, Jaden Daniels, he looks good. Just threw for over 300 yards. The 70-yard Hail Mary helped, but he was playing a good game anyway before that. And he put him in position to win. So you got to give kudos when they're due. This looks like the Houston Texans of last year, right? Things are starting to look good. They believe in this young guy. He's showing great leadership. They're winning tough games. So I think they're one of the contenders that's over 500 that can actually make some noise this year. All right. Atlanta Falcons. Hey, y'all can call Kirk Cousins corny, whatever y'all want to call him, but check this out. He's winning games. The players believe in him. This dude rapping in the huddles before games, getting people fired up. Whatever he needs to do is working. And he is off an Achilles injury like some other quarterback. And he came back even sooner. And his team believes in him and they're winning games. Weird. Leadership, right? Everybody worries about arm talent and all this stuff. The intangibles that Kirk Cousins have. He just finds a way to get his team to believe. And he is one of the smartest quarterbacks. Some players can do it with their body, their feet, those physical attributes. Some quarterbacks do it with their mind. He is a quarterback that does it with his mind. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. Atlanta Falcons look good. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay, 2 wide receivers hurt. It looks like the Atlanta Falcons might take this division and run with it. They already beat y'all twice. I got the Atlanta Falcons as true contenders. And then Green Bay, right? Can't deny what Green Bay's doing. I know y'all like, man, why you got Green Bay on there and not Minnesota? I don't think Minnesota is going to be as great as everybody else thought they were going to be, right? I think Sam Darnold comes down to earth. I think as long as Jordan Love is healthy, they are going to be contenders. They showed you last year they can go on the road and win playoff games. All these young wide receivers are a year older, a year experienced. So I think they got a real shot at doing some things in the playoffs. So those are my contenders. Again, y'all let me know what y'all think. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. I always put these reels up on social media so you can comment there. and you can let me know what you think. But that's what I got for the Contenders, the Goblins, and then I already showed y'all what I got for those Ghosts, all right? So, yeah, with all that being said about football this season, it's been a great year. It's been a lot going on. It's been a crazy season. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of injuries that are going to shift a lot of these teams' future here in the weeks to come. But this has been a good season nonetheless. The Chiefs are undefeated, but the Lions look like the best team in football. The Ravens look good in spots, but their defense can't guard a nosebleed. You got surprise teams like Washington. You got surprise teams. You got teams that we thought were going to be good that are surprisingly bad, like Cincinnati. Like, there's a lot going on in this season. I'm excited to see where it goes. All right. So now what we're going to do is shift gears. We're going to stay in football, but we actually going to go at the collegiate level. Okay. We're going to go to y'all favorite segment, the world's favorite segment. We call it Bet That. But because we are doing our thing for Halloween, we are going to call it those monster matchups. All right. So for these monster matchups, for Bet That this week, I got a 5-leg parlay for college football. All right. So for this one, we're going to start with Pitt at SMU. I got Pitt. They are 7.5-point underdogs. I got Pitt covering the spread. Okay. The reason why they're undefeated this season, 2-0 against the spread on the road, and they can put up points. SMU is good too. This is going to be a good matchup, but I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know who's going to win, but I think Pitt hasn't lost by a touchdown, so I think they go ahead and cover this spread. All right. On the next line, I got Ohio State, Penn State. This is the toughest game that Penn State's going to play all year. They had a very light Big Ten schedule this year. I think next year they got to go through a gauntlet. They're going to have to play all those Pac-10 teams that came over. This year they kind of got a breeze, but now they got to run into a real team. Ohio State takes care of business. I have them on the money line, and Ohio State is favored by 3.5 on the road, and they have a top 4 defense in the country. So the wise guys are already telling you what they think, but because it's a Big Ten rivalry game, I'm not going to take a spread. I'm just going to take Ohio State straight up. All right. At the third one, we got another rivalry in the SEC, the Georgia-Florida line, and Georgia's going to win. I'm pretty sure they will, but I think it's going to be high scoring. They've been holding a lot of teams down the last couple of weeks. They've kind of turned it up since the Alabama game, but I feel like Georgia-Florida is always crazy. So I'm taking the over on this. Over-under is 52.5. I'm taking the over. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think Florida scores some touchdowns later on in the game, but Georgia is rounding out to form after the Alabama game, okay? But I think this can be a game where Georgia can put up 40 points and win by 20. So I still think it'll go over 52.5. The next line, I got Louisville at Clemson. So we got some good games this week, some conference matchups, much needed for week 10 in the college football rankings. So Louisville at Clemson, and Louisville's 10.5-point dogs. I actually have them covering this as well. They went toe-to-toe with Miami and had a couple of turnovers, but still only lost by a touchdown. Louisville covers the spread. Again, haven't lost the game by more than 7 points all year, and they average 36.5 points per game. So I got them covering against Clemson. And then the last one, another ACC game, Duke versus Miami. Again, that kid Cam Ward, he's the Heisman favorite right now. And if they keep winning games, you have to give it to them, right? So this game will go way over, though, in points. All right. Miami leads the nation in scoring at 47 points a game. And Duke only has one game this season where they didn't score 20 points. All right, so you do the math. 54.5, I'm taking the over. High scoring game. They might get the over by the end of the third quarter. So we'll see. Miami ain't known for stopping people from scoring on them. Like I just referenced the Louisville game. That game went back and forth. I think it was like 54 to 47 or something like that, 53-47. High scoring game. I think Duke puts up points too. All right. So that's what we got for our 5-leg parlay. Okay. Be sure to go to your betting sites, whatever you do. This is not a betting or gambling podcast. I just like to give y'all some of my betting tips, some of my parlays that I like to bet and see if y'all can ride with them. So we got Pitt covering the spread against SMU. We got Ohio State straight up on the money line. We got Georgia, Florida rivalry game going over 52.5. Then we got Louisville and Clemson. I got Louisville covering that spread because they score a lot of points. Same with Duke scoring a lot of points versus Miami. That's why I took the over. Again, I don't think Miami's going to lose to Duke at all, but I can see that being a high-scoring game. So that's where we're going with that. All right? Now, but let me shift gears, all right? The NBA. So you know we got to give y'all some NBA news and talk about what's going on there. And we call this segment The Wicked and the Weak. Again, keeping up with that Halloween theme, the wicked and the weak. Who am I talking about when I talk about this? Kawhi Leonard and Joel Embiid. I already gave y'all kind of a teaser in the layup lines, the quick news, where I'm talking about Embiid and Kawhi, Paul George already using a PTO. But these dudes, man, sitting out for the season opener and not being a priority for their respective franchises. People go around calling these dudes superstars, talking about how great they are, all this stuff. We got to cut that out, man. These dudes are not great, okay? They don't elevate their franchises. They don't elevate the league in any way. They get these $200, $300 million contracts and they barely play, all right? Both of them. I know people always tell me all the time, Jay, you a hard grader, man. You tough on these dudes, whatever. It's just greatness is great to me. All right. I don't even think Kawhi is a top 75 player. I've been saying that. He don't deserve to be. What has he done in this league that solidifies him as a top 75? Okay, y'all can go ahead and say, what, he won 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs? All right, so in San Antonio, he's a finals MVP because he held LeBron to 38 and 9 or whatever. Come on, man. Get out of here. And then he went to San Antonio or to Toronto on a mercenary mission, basically copped out in San Antonio because of his thigh. Even Tony Parker told y'all, man, anybody else would have played on this injury. He goes to Toronto. Yeah, he won a ring there. But I still don't see that as greatness. Because if KD would have played, they would have beat them dudes in 5. So he wouldn't even won there. Then what would y'all be talking about? So all this superstar talk, miss me with all that, man. So I'm going to start with Kawhi Leonard, like I said. This dude, actually, my bad. I'm going to start with Joel Embiid. I know I kind of went on a tangent with Kawhi, but he'd be making me mad, especially the media hearing about how them using this word great. I don't use that word very, very loosely. So it kind of threw me off when people say that. But Joel Embiid, I'll start there. This dude, talk about PTO, he's already missed 226 games in his career. All right. And he's fat. He's never in shape when the season starts. This dude wanted to go play Olympic basketball, ride the coattails of Team USA to get him a gold medal, to add to his resume, because he know he ain't win nothing in the NBA, because he ain't good enough. And then he don't come back in shape in October. So you leave Tyrese Maxey out there high and dry. Paul George comes to Philly to leave one injured player to come play with another fat, out-of-shape injured player. And everybody talk about, but his knees, man, his knees just need to get right. Of course his knees need to get right. The dude over 300 pounds, he don't never take care of himself. Of course he can't play 82 games, but y'all call these dudes great. Not trying to hear it, man. They don't do anything for their franchises. I don't want to hear this greatness talk no more, dog. He's supposed to be elite. One of the best bigs in the league. He won an MVP. Dude don't even play When has Joel Embiid ever played 70 games? For y'all to be calling these guys great, man. They can't even finish an 82-game season. Come on, man. Get out of here. And then Kawhi Leonard. He's missed 291 games in his career. Only played in 28 out of 41 of the playoff games that the Clippers done had since he's been with them. So they get him from Toronto. So this is what he does. Since y'all want to talk about greatness and being a superstar, he comes to the Clippers. Chooses the Clippers over the Lakers. Basically blackmail the Clippers into getting Paul George, making them get rid of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's an MVP candidate, first team All-NBA player, number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. 5 first-round picks that ended up being Jaden Williams, being Chet Holmgren, and a bunch of other picks that made that team good. Turned all that into a good team. Shout out to Sam Presti for fleecing another team. For what? For you to miss all these games, don't play in the playoffs, leave Paul George high and dry. The Clippers open up a brand new arena. They can't even announce your name on opening night. Like I told y'all before, these GMs and these front offices, man, they tell you everything you need to know if you pay attention. They open up the Intuit Dome, brand new stadium, opening night. They announce all the players on the roster except Kawhi Leonard because he ain't playing opening night. They didn't want the fans booing them for opening up this arena for a guy that ain't ever available. The best ability is availability, and this dude is never available, so how can y'all call him a superstar? He don't elevate nobody. He doesn't elevate the league at all or the Clippers franchise. So miss me with this greatness stuff, all right? And then, oh, by the way, Paul George wants to stay. You don't do nothing to try to get him to stay, help him with his contract. After you done blackmailed them to get Paul George, now he leaves, you let him just walk out the door. So what they supposed to do now? Play with an out of shape, out of his prime James Harden until you get back? And this y'all superstar? Come on, man. The wicked and the weak, dog. These dudes are soft. I don't think either one of them have ever played 82 games. They don't elevate nobody. Say what you want about a guy like LeBron James, right? When we talk about superstars, that's why I say there's only like 5 or 6 legitimate superstars in the NBA. Maybe 7 if you get me to scratch my head and think about it. But you don't have to like the style of player if you're not a LeBron fan. You don't got to like the style of play. You don't got to like whatever, but you cannot deny that he's not a superstar. He elevates franchises. He's elevated the league. When he left Cleveland the first time, they was worth $500 million. He comes back, takes them to 4 championships, NBA finals. They win 1. He leaves again. They worth $1.2 billion. Leadership, he elevates. He might have got pieces and brought people to that team, but people rallied around his leadership, and he was a superstar. He carried the league. Him and Steph Curry carried the league for like 8 years. That's superstardom. KD, you could put KD on any team, rec league, YMCA, NBA finals, Golden State, Phoenix, OKC, Brooklyn, it don't matter. He's still going to be KD. He's going to elevate the league with his play. He might not have the same leadership style or intangibles as a LeBron James, but he's a superstar in his own right because of what he does for the NBA. You can't say the same thing about these other 2 dudes. As much as Joel Embiid want to talk crazy about Ben Simmons, you ain't that far off. Yeah, when you're available, you got the stats, but in terms of elevating a team or showing leadership or being a superstar, what have you done more than him? Except cry in the playoffs when y'all lose and they got the camera on you while you leaving the tunnel. Kawhi Leonard don't say anything. So I don't know what his locker room presence is. Everybody says he's a hard worker. Okay. I'm not questioning his work ethic. I'm questioning that he doesn't work. So I don't know what his work ethic is because he don't play basketball. So y'all talking about how hard he rehabs, I guess? Because if you miss 291 games, it's hard for me to call you a great player. All right. That don't mean you're a bum, but you ain't great. You're a good player. But because the Basketball Hall of Fame is so brittle, you're going to end up in the Basketball Hall of Fame because you won championships and you won a couple league finals MVPs. Joel Embiid will get in there because he jumped on the coattails and got him a gold medal. And he's got one league MVP. And he's played for over 10 years. So he'll be a Hall of Famer. But none of these dudes, they wouldn't be top 75. They wouldn't be Hall of Famers. You mean to tell me that Kawhi Leonard has had a better career than Dwight Howard? Strip away the finals MVPs. I know they count, but what I'm saying is this. Dwight Howard was available. Dwight Howard has 82 games under his belt. They used to be a badge of honor when you could play 82. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, right? He carried a franchise. He carried the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals. Multiple playoff runs. Dwight Howard did that. And for him to not be a top 75 player, and this dude is, because the media like him, get out of here with that, man. I'm done with it. Look, the wicked and the weak, all right? And these dudes are weak. They already taking games off. Joel Embiid talking about, I am not playing back-to-backs anymore. I'm getting myself geared up for the playoffs. He's openly defiant to the NBA. That's why they investigating it, right? Because it doesn't make any sense why he would be able to have the ability to do that. So I'm not mad at them for even coming down on him or whatever punishment they're going to give him. Give them what they deserve, man. But these dudes ain't superstars to me. All right. They're not great players to me. I don't hand greatness out to everybody just because they do well for a certain period of time. Sustained excellence. You know why LeBron is great? Because LeBron has been great for 20 years. That's why. You know why Kevin Durant's great? Because Kevin Durant's been great for 20 years. So miss me with this great stuff, all right? People have great moments. That don't make them great. Good players have great moments. Great players are consistently great all the time. So that's what I got for y'all, man. The wicked and the weak. These two dudes, y'all tell me what y'all think. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Of course, the X Factor Sports Podcast, always. Be sure to check us out every week. To like, share, and subscribe, man. We everywhere on all of the channels. And before we get out of here, we're going to run into that 2-minute warning, okay? Don't let their fears deter you. What do you mean by that, Jay? Other people's fears. Don't let their fears deter you because you have something going on or you're aspiring to do things. There may be somebody in your family or you may have an uncle or older brother, cousin, whatever, somebody that was in your position years ago and tried to force their fears onto you by saying, "Oh man, you shouldn't do that. It wouldn't work." When I was in that position, I did that. You can't let somebody else's fears deter you from your goals and what it is you want to do. Okay? Doesn't work that way. They're yours for a reason. So you have to be able to push forward, put one foot in front of the other. Okay? And don't let anybody else doubts or disbeliefs, hate, whatever it is, shade, whatever you want to call it, push that to the side, right? Prepare yourself for success and don't let other people's failures deter you from what you feel like your success should be. All right, cool. This is Jay Mondana, the X Factor Sports Podcast. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. We are always going to be live every week on YouTube and Rumble and all of the platforms. If you like what you see in terms of the gear, like I said, we're going to have sweats, shirts, hoodies, all that coming in the winter months. You can always tap in with me directly, or you can scan the QR code on the bottom get you some gear. We got all colors, all sizes. Hats are gray and black. Shirts come in all colors and sizes. Go ahead and scan the QR code right there on the screen, or you can hit me up directly. Again, this is Jay Mondane of the X Factor Sports Podcast, Season 2 or Season 6, Episode 2, the Halloween special. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have yourself a good night. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week when we get into more of the NBA and we get into more of the NFL deep into the season. Who is going to make a push to win their division next week? This is Jay Mondane signing out. Peace.